Welcome to Keeping It Green, a podcast for ornamental plant professionals and enthusiasts, with hosts Margaret Pickoff, Tom Butzler, and Tim Abbey.
Hello, and welcome to Keeping It Green, a podcast from Penn State Extension for ornamental plant professionals and enthusiasts. I'm one of your hosts, Margaret Pickoff. I'm a horticulture educator with Penn State Extension, and on each episode, I'm joined by my colleagues on the green industry team as co-hosts. On today's episode, my co-hosts are Tim Abbey and Tom Butzler. Hey, Tim and Tom.
Hey, Margaret, how are you? It's been a while.
I'm good. We have a very special episode today because on today's episode, we are interviewing our colleague and co-host of this podcast, Sandy Feather. She is a fellow horticulture educator with Penn State Extension, and she is retiring. So we are doing her exit interview today. We're going to talk to her all about her career and herself, and who knows what else, probably plants and what's going on in her garden. But before we get to our interview with Sandy, we always do a check-in about what's going on in our work and what we're seeing in the landscape. So Tim and Tom, what are you guys seeing? Maybe we'll start with Tim.
Nothing all that particularly exciting. Surprisingly, still going out and seeing some evergreens with winter damage from this past winter.
Yeah.
And the other issue that's creeping in down here, which we've talked about the past couple of years, is it's still very dry, sort of like in the south central part of Pennsylvania. We're probably over 4 inches below normal for this year right now. And like using my yard as an example, the grass is starting to turn brown. And will be 3 years. If we don't make that up, that's like 3 years with below normal precipitation, which, when you get this the larger trees or even smaller ones, that's just not a good thing.
Yeah. What about you, Tom?
Over on the up in the center part of the state, we experienced some of that same weather that Tim was referring to in the early part of the season. And what I'm talking about is that breeze event. And some of the homeowners calling on the phone, or some of the radio shows I participate in, they refer to it as a frost event, but it was more severe than frost. It got cold in mid-March, after a warm spell. So all our plants were waking up, and that March event came in, and it really did a number. And so in commercial agriculture, it really hit hard. I've seen some of the numbers coming out that 80 to 90% of our tree fruit crop has been lost. And so, that's tough for those farmers that, have the roadside stands or, whatever markets they have to make up. So that hurt. And, I not that I have a commercial farm, but I do have stuff in my backyard, and there are plenty of things that got hit. This year I will have no pawpaws. They were putting out blooms, and they got hit hard. The locust. I keep a couple honeybee hives on the property, and black locusts produce a nice light honey, and there were no blooms this year. They were hit hard. And then I guess the other thing of note is I like to push the limits as a gardener. Who doesn't, right? And so years ago, I had put in some leyland cypress as a kind of a visual break between me and my neighbor. And one of the nice things about leyland cypress, which is a southern plant for the most part, is they grow fast. So I had this nice screen, and man, it got hammered this year because of that not a frost event, but that freeze event. And so I was a little out of the range, kind of northern U.S. For this tree, and they really got hit hard. So, and then just to comment on Tim's thing, it will be interesting. We don't know yet, but will this be the new normal where we're going to just be running into rainfall deficits every year, or, on a more periodic basis? And how are our plants? How's the plant community going to respond to that?
Yeah.
So those are my comments from Central PA. So how about you, Margaret? What have you been seeing down on the eastern part?
Yeah, well, I haven't been working for a couple of months because I just had a baby, so I've been off for for since the end of March. But obviously, like I'm still looking around, even though I haven't been working. And I'm actually recording today from the Jersey Shore.
Nice.
And walking around, a lot of these home landscapes have Southern magnolia. Those are the ones with the big glossy leaves, right? Yeah.
Right.
Mhm.
And they almost every single Southern magnolia I've seen is completely fried. I think from that, I think often on the shore it's a little bit warmer here. We don't get necessarily that, really deep cold snaps that we get further inland. But yeah, they just got it's every single one that I've passed. So
Yeah.
that's going to be a big, some of them are just small little, single, almost shrub-like, size trees, and some of them are really large. And so that's going to be a huge replacement throughout.
So are they dead or are they putting out new growth?
They look pretty dead. Yeah, they look pretty dead. I mean, I'll have to check back in. Maybe they'll start to push out new growth. We've gotten some rain and maybe that will help, but they are just like every single one is just there's no green. But yeah, so anyways, that's one thing. I will have more observations when I get back to the
Of
groove.
course.
I'm still in baby land here, but yeah, why don't we bring on our interviewee for the day because she is, part of this conversation. And before we introduce you, Sandy, we have introduced you in the past, but before
Hey,
we get into it, like, what are you?
I'm itching to chime in.
Yeah,
Certainly our fruit growers out here took a hit. Sorgel's orchards, they lost probably 80 to 90% of their apple crop, probably 100% of their peaches, and a lot of grapes took a big hit, from that freeze event. Actually, there were two of them in April. And Japanese maples, oh my gosh, they look
Yeah.
awful.
Yeah. Good
They
point. Yep.
really took a hit. And we don't have a ton of southern magnolias, but there's some around, and I actually haven't seen them because we don't have so many of them. But I'm sure they took a hit because those big evergreen leaves just get fried.
Yeah.
And but interestingly, I have a friend who is a serious zone pusher, and he has palm trees in his landscape.
Hmm.
And what this man, he erects these crazy structures around these trees to keep them alive through the winter. And surprisingly, he obviously did not take those covers off while we were having those extreme events. So he probably doesn't uncover them till mid-May at the earliest. But he was showing pictures. There was a little damage to them because we had below zero for a little while, late January. But his palms really looked okay. But
Hmm.
I attribute that to the protection he
The
put
structure
around.
protection around it.
Yeah. So I didn't have anything too badly hit. Oh, I did. My neighbor and I just about lost our entire asparagus crops, asparagus patches. Yeah, the guy
Huh.
across the street from me and I I blame some of it on our bad drought last summer because I was busy watering some of my trees and stuff, and the asparagus didn't get the attention it should have.
Yeah, I was thinking about how I think I've been naive because I mean I've obviously am at the start of my career, but I've been with Penn State for almost 5 years, and I feel like each year we get to the summer or the fall, and it's like, wow, this is what's happening in the landscape. We have a rain deficit, drought stress. The plants are all stressed going into the winter. We don't have any precipitation, and they get really bad frost damage, and then I keep thinking like, oh, that's the thing happening this year. And Tom, I kind of wonder if you're right. I mean,
This is the new normal.
it's been 3 or 4 years of the same kind of trend. So I don't know what normal looks like anymore, but
No.
I don't think any
Yeah,
of us
for
do.
you two down on the eastern part of the state, you're in this rain deficit, and next week is supposed to be really
Brutal.
pretty
Yeah.
rough.
It's supposed to
they're
be
talking
really
like
hot. Yep.
98 degrees. Here in central PA, I don't know what they're talking down your way.
I'm heading north up to my mom, so I'm going to dodge that hot week. So I'm glad I'm getting
Good.
out of town.
wow,
Good.
wow.
Yeah. Well,
Well,
unfortunately over the weekend I'm going the other way. I'm going to Virginia for the 4th of July weekend. So I'm probably going to fry.
Yes.
Find some shade under a big oak tree or something,
Right.
Sandy.
I'll be looking for something.
Well, so why don't we kind of get into our interview conversation today? It's such a bittersweet moment to be saying goodbye to Sandy, and also, but also, knowing that she's heading on a new chapter. But we wanted to take today's episode to talk to Sandy about her career, how she got here, where she's headed, what's the number one thing she's going to do the first day she retires, all of these things.
Probably go work in my yard.
Okay, that's what I thought. That's what I figured.
If it's not 98.
Well, I was wondering, Margaret, if we could kind of just start at the beginning with Sandy. And Sandy, you've had an interesting background to becoming an extension educator. And so what was your initial attraction to plants in the beginning of maybe not necessarily a career, but your,
Yeah.
childhood stage or young adult stage?
Well, really, it would have been maybe not my childhood, but certainly in my teen years, I became the gardener in my family. Just I liked it,
Your parents
so,
had something in the backyard, is what?
Well, we had flower beds and stuff. So my mom and I would plant flowers. She was, she liked petunias and marigolds, So she wasn't exactly a horticulturist, but she did like to have flowers around. So we had flower beds, and I would help with that. And then I pestered my dad to till up a section of the backyard and put in a vegetable garden. So that's sort of how I got started. And then, seriously, my undergrad degree is in journalism. That's how that was the course of study that I chose. And, in the neighborhood where I grew up, we were pretty much working class, maybe upper working class. It was the suburbs, but everybody did their own yard work. We didn't have landscapers coming in or anything like that. I didn't even know there was such a thing, to be honest with you, when I was going to college. Like a life with plant, a career with plants really was just not really on my horizon. I had no idea. But not long after I got out of college, I went to work for a landscape contractor who believed in educating his employees. And so I kind of learned through the School of Hard Knocks, if you will. I worked at a commercial turf supply company, and then I worked at a big landscape company here right before I started to work for Extension, Eichenlaub. And of course,
yes.
Dan Eichenlaub is a huge supporter of the College of Ag Sciences and a pretty big supporter of Extension. I learned a lot working for him. And he tells me that I taught him a lot, which is amazing to me. I don't think I realized what an impact I had on that man.
Well, with your journalism background, did you write about horticulture or study horticulture in college, or
No.
Was that kind of a separate track
That was sort of a separate track. But when I started to work for Extension, I'm trying to think. I can't remember when I started writing the Post-Gazette column, but I wrote a gardening column in the Pittsburgh Post-Gazette for 12 years.
Whoa.
Because when I first started with Extension, I was consumer hort, like 100%. I was the master gardener coordinator in Allegheny County, and that seemed to fit right in with the consumer hort mission. And after I moved over to the commercial hort position, the master gardeners took that column over, and they do a good job. I'm pleased with the work that they do. And a lot of times they would run columns by me, to make sure of the accuracy and stuff. But I'm glad the column's still going, even though I'm not the author of it anymore.
Was that switch from consumer to commercial your choice, or was that just came up and you were asked to do that?
Well, at the time, the then director of Extension wanted to do away with the Master Gardener program.
Oh.
And I wanted to still have a job. So when Mike became our CED and I could do the commercial hort stuff, I was happy to make the switch. And it's been incredibly rewarding. One thing I have to say is, no surprise to you guys that, um, I would say 90 to 95% of my clientele are men. And I am just incredibly grateful that none of them have ever treated me like a little lady.
Oh,
Yeah, they've always been very respectful.
Nice.
yeah.
That
Yeah.
means a lot.
Yeah.
Well, I
That,
think part of it, Sandy, is you're knowledgeable. You're bringing something that is worthwhile to their enterprise
Oh,
or business,
absolutely.
and so that garners respect. And so
Yep.
I think that's a testament to your background, experience, and so forth.
Yeah. And the way journalism served me really well. I'm really good at
So,
researching.
well, so yeah, I'm just I one or two more questions on that journalism before we jump off that. Now, in your writing, I mean, I don't have a writing background, journalism. I kind of think I'm a terrible writer, but did you feel that background was better able to convey what you were seeing out there in the landscapes to the general public? A good way to describe it or tell
Well,
a
certainly,
story.
certainly being able to write articles for the extension website and possibly even in my speaking. Mike reminded me because, when he spoke at my retirement party, and it's true, I would particularly when I first moved into commercial, I was like if I was doing presentations, I would rehearse, rehearse, rehearse,
Oh yeah,
rehearse.
sure.
And of course I would be doing this in my house to my cats. And he said, she has the most horticulturally savvy cats on the face of the earth. Uh,
do they give
Well,
you feedback?
what?
Do they give you feedback?
No, it was more like feed me.
Yeah.
yeah,
Shut up and feed me.
yeah.
But yeah, I used to, so, certainly as I've become more comfortable and more knowledgeable, I can speak a little more extemporaneously about things. But yeah, I used to rehearse like a crazy woman.
Well,
And
I
actually
don't
one
think
of
that's
my
any.
first really great experiences, like Mike was a really good mentor to me.
Okay,
And
yeah, that's important.
oh yeah. And he took me to the Shade Tree Symposium for the Pendel chapter of ISA. And I got to know those guys, gals, and I got comfortable doing programs for them, and I do programs for that meeting to this day, and will
Yeah.
continue to in retirement. I'm going to stay active with the Pendel chapter and perhaps become a little more involved. I
Okay.
kind of found my niche with the arborists.
Awesome.
Have you always been
And
So,
it's
in
kind of
Allegheny
funny.
County?
I'm
Go ahead.
enjoying seeing um, a lot of young women coming into arboriculture. I really see it like on the cruise with a lot of the companies here, and when I help with the climbing championships, the women that are competing, I'm envious because when I was young enough to do that, women didn't.
Mhm.
mm,
But it's really kind of fun to watch them, and I love watching all of them. I mean, arborists are real athletes.
What do you attribute that to? Like, because that's one of my areas of interest within the green industry is like how can we support more women in the industry? And obviously, like, yeah, it is. You walk into one of those meetings in the winter in a big conference center, and it is like 99% men. And I had a few experiences this winter where I was like very visibly pregnant and standing up there with my microphone and like 250 men and so obviously like there is we are not at parity as extension would
No.
say with women coming to our events or women being part of the industry, but what do you kind of attribute that rise in women arborists and climbers to? Is it more training opportunities or like more acceptance or
I think a little bit of both. And at least the companies that I am aware of that have a lot of women on staff, they have a lot of support. The people that own these companies and stuff really want to have more women on their crews,
yeah.
you know. And I think women bring a little different perspective, maybe I'm not sure that's the right word, but we're not as physically strong as guys, so we can't muscle our way through a lot of stuff. And so we have to use a little more finesse. And who knows, maybe we're a little better with the customers sometimes.
Well,
Not
you
always.
know, we've been doing these podcasts for several years, and one of the reoccurring things is the labor issue, and how do you
Right.
get young adults? So, regardless if it's a young woman or a young man, I think one of the keys to getting people thinking about this as a possible career is starting with them young. Like
Exactly.
Sandy, your mom taking you out and gardening with the marigolds. I think
Hmm.
if parents or scouts or whatever just introduces people to plants and the activities around plants, you plant, and pardon that, you plant a seed that maybe later on in high school or college, they're like, hey, I had a good time with my dad in the garden, or pruning the rose bushes with my mom, or whatever it is. But
Right.
you've got to get people out there in the landscape, into the woods or whatever, just to show them plants. And
Yeah. Yep. Because there is that they talk about plant blindness. People don't even see them.
yeah,
Mhm.
And I think it's important I think we don't do a good job of marketing this industry. I think, if a kid says to their parent, I think I want a degree in horticulture, and they think they're going to be pushing a lawnmower for the rest of their lives,
yeah,
so they don't know about the breeding, the tree care,
yeah,
all the
yeah.
aspects of tree care. Like there's a facility here in Penn Hills called the Morrow Barn, and it's an event center, and it's owned by the Penn Hebron Garden Club. And of course, now that I'm retiring, they want me to join the garden club. I'm not sure I want to do that, but I love the barn. Every Wednesday night, April and May, and then September and October, there are free concerts. And it's local people. We don't have like big famous people, but um, there's a wealth of musical talent, and it runs the gamut from bluegrass to jazz. And I'm telling you about the barn because right out front, um, there's a huge pin oak tree that's 90% dead. And I went over to examine it more closely when I noticed the whole top of the tree was dead. And it's got root rot disease, it's got hypoxylon and canker going clear up into the crown of the tree, and it needs to come down. And it's not like I can cut that giant tree down. So I'm, recommending some arborists to get some quotes from. But it's I mean, just some of the members that I'm talking to, I'm like, see this? I'm showing them the conchs around the base of the tree and pointing out the canker, going clear up into the crown of the tree. And they're like, wow, I never realized there was so much to trees. And I
Mhm.
think if we could, teach kids, young people, like, look at all this stuff,
Yeah.
and there's so many ways that people can go, plant pathology, entomology. There's so many paths that kind of connect to horticulture. And I think we don't do a good job of marketing this. And what a fantastic career it has turned out to be for me. I'm so grateful. And it's not like I'm independently wealthy. I always knew that I was going to have to work. And you sure as heck might as well enjoy what you're doing.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I wonder, Sandy, if there's a moment like you talked about like in the beginning practicing your talks to your cats, which I can relate
You can do the
to.
same to your baby.
But and then kind of like shifting more towards like I don't know, maybe a feeling like a confidence in your expertise. But I wonder like what was there a moment where it kind of clicked or something that you can think of where you kind of were like, oh, like I know my stuff.
Well, I have to say, I have had such fabulous opportunities for continuing education, whether it's the Shade Tree Symposium. I was able to go to that IPM seminar at the University of Maryland, which is still one of the most marvelous experiences of my life, and then going to the ornamental conference down in North Carolina, these continuing education opportunities and stuff that we have going on, whether it's the ornamental field day up at the university where I get to attend some different talks and presentations. Um, I think the opportunity for continuing education has been huge in increasing my confidence.
I do think that I think that's anyone that's going into a new profession, especially young adults. They talk about this imposter syndrome. And I
Yeah.
think it
Oh,
just takes
for a while, I definitely had that.
yeah, I just think it takes a little bit of time to figure out what your job is, your role, the ins and outs of the subject matter. And then
Right.
it does, as you mentioned, Margaret, at some point it clicks and then you're off and running.
Yep. Yep. And the other thing, and I think as scientists, we understand this better, but science isn't a static thing. Think about what we've learned about trees in the last 20 years,
Yeah.
about how they grow, how they repair themselves after damage and stuff. 50 years ago, we didn't know this stuff.
I've got two
So
questions for you. One's a serious one and one is not. So the serious one is, have you been based in Allegheny County for all your career?
I have, although when I moved to commercial, it became more regional.
Okay. So in that area, and you've been with Penn State almost 30 years, have you seen um, like tremendous growth in like the green industry in that area, as far as whether it's like maintenance companies or like production nurseries?
Certainly in the landscape and arboriculture end of things, I see a lot of new companies. I really do see a lot of new companies popping up, and they're good. A lot of them have degrees in horticulture from the university or a university, not necessarily Penn State. Um, and they're pretty savvy business people too. And I think, that's also an issue in our industry because people love plants and they go into this and they don't know and don't really care about
Right.
business. Their companies fail.
Right. Or this
There's
is
a
just not a
reason I
course
work
for
for
them
Penn
to at least
State and
learn
I
some
don't have my own
basics.
company.
Right. So the other question is just more like to play to my sense of humor. So all these years you've been with Penn State and we all encounter this, is there any one like particular like site visit or client you've interacted with that was just like completely ridiculous story? And you don't have to name any names. You can kind
Yeah,
of
I
keep
was
it
just gonna,
quiet.
that was one
Name
of my
names.
burning questions. I want some
Let me
stories.
think.
Most of my ones I couldn't share, not at least on mic.
Um,
And it's kind of an unfair question because I'm
yeah,
asking you to
yeah, because
dredge back over 30
I've
years.
gone on a lot of site visits over the years.
Well, what is the
Um,
wackiest site visit you went to? Uh, plants
maybe the
underwater for days
wackiest
on end or
question.
something.
How about the wackiest question I ever got?
There
It
you
was in
go.
the site visit. So this guy, and he was trying to be kind, but I don't know what he was thinking. Um, he must have lived in a wooded area, and he had a lot of flying squirrels, and they kept getting caught in his screens. And he wasn't mad at them. He wanted to clip their toenails so they didn't get hurt. And I was like, you can't. A, they'll probably bite your hands off, and B, they need those claws.
Right.
So, I mean, he was so insistent. I finally gave him the number for the Pennsylvania Game Commission, and those people are probably still cursing my name.
He should be just like very thankful. I don't think I've ever seen a flying squirrel in the wild. I mean, I've seen like some in captivity. That would be awesome.
Oh yeah, no, I've seen them like on backpacking trips and stuff. One night, a
Have
friend
you?
and I were camped in one of the shelters on the Laurel Highlands Trail, and we're trying to sleep, and there was critters. I don't know if it was the flying squirrels or if it was a mouse. Like I woke up in the morning and there were acorns in my shoes. But in the middle of the night, we heard this noise, and I sort of woke up and turned the flashlight on, looking around the shelter. There was a flying squirrel up on the chimney of the fireplace, and it was just like pressed against the rocks, going, "Oh, maybe they don't see me."
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
Uh, Over your 30 years, Sandy, what has been the predominant insect issue and the predominant disease issue? Not
Well,
not one-offs, but what there
but
just seems to be just a
well, certainly.
reoccurring, and there's not really any great solutions, or yeah.
Well, oak will definitely be the number one disease in my mind because I've just seen so much of it, you know.
Okay.
And then, I look at these communities like Forest Hills, where every yard has at least one, sometimes two pin oaks. And if oak wilt gets into that neighborhood, that's going to be a disaster. Um,
Is that pretty widespread in the
oh yeah,
Pittsburgh
yeah.
Allegheny County area? Or
Yep.
okay,
In our city and county parks, there's been big outbreaks, like where huge tracts of trees have died.
okay,
So yeah, oak wilt has been a huge problem. And then, it's a little tough. I can't really throw stones at the utility companies because they're under fire for keeping the lines clear and keeping the
Yeah.
electricity on. But they come through and they do their pruning at the wrong time of the year. They don't
Yeah.
use sealants. And, ordinarily we tell them not to, but for oak wilt,
Oh, Sandy, you're telling people to paint their tree wounds.
for
Yeah,
oak wilt, just for
exactly.
oak wilt, because it makes them less attractive to the beetles.
Yep, good
Other
point.
reasons, not so much.
Yeah. No,
And as far as the insects, there's there's been waves of things, the spongy moths, spotted lanternflies. And speaking of spotted lanternflies, I haven't seen one this year.
really.
And I don't know. I mean, I don't think that freeze in April, maybe they were close enough to hatching. I don't know if that would have had an impact on them or not.
No,
But
they're out in
ordinarily,
central Pennsylvania.
Yeah, they're
they
out here.
are they? Yeah, they
Yeah.
would usually, I would usually notice they were around because I feed a feral cat and there would be dead nymphs in his water dish. Well, haven't seen one.
How long have you had them out there? Not to kind of get buried on this topic.
Um, yeah, I'm trying to remember. I want to say so 2014 is when they were first found. So probably 3 or 4 years later.
Yeah, maybe because like I know in my area around here, eventually when they moved in, the wave went up, and then going back like 2 and 3 years ago, the population like crashed.
Okay.
And then last year, I wouldn't say they were like, the highest level, but they're on an upswing again. And like this
Okay.
year, I've noticed nymphs without actually looking for them. So I think we're going to have a pretty decent year.
And since we moved out to McKeesport, I mean, they were around a little bit last year. I mean, we just moved there last May. Um, I saw maybe five. There weren't a lot to start with. And I had more here at my house, but I have seen zip. And
Hmm.
I don't really know what to
Oh, that's
attribute
good.
it to. And now they were always worse, like in downtown Pittsburgh and over on the North Shore near the stadiums and stuff. And I just haven't been downtown since my office isn't there anymore.
Well, how about so we talking about the insect and disease issues over that 3 decades plus of experience. What about trends? Any trend that kind of sticks out to you that you've noticed over the past, and good or bad trends?
On the good
In a,
side, certainly from the consumer standpoint, the use of more native plants in their landscapes.
okay.
I see that as a real trend. I mean, people are tearing up their grass and planting meadows and all native plants and stuff, which I think is great.
Yeah.
If you're a turf company, that's probably not what you want to hear. But so I certainly see that on the consumer side of things, there's just way more interest in just more environmentally friendly practices, more sustainability kind of stuff. Um, Trying to think. I still have gotten nowhere with stopping that volcano mulching. I had
Oh
a
yeah.
doctor's
No.
I had a doctor's appointment yesterday, and her office is in a one of the local malls. And when I got out of my car, they had volcano mulched a dead tree, and I was just like,
Well, that's uniformity
what
there.
I mean?
You gotta
Was it you,
wonder.
Tim, that had the picture? They had mulched like a street sign or something.
Yeah, I use that one of my
It-
talks. A little aesthetic appeal around the base of the stop sign.
You gotta wonder. It'd be interesting for someone to find out, how that kind of started. Is it something that got, swept
Right.
up in social media, like on
I don't know.
TikTok or whatever? I mean, what got that
No, it
started?
predates that. I mean, it's pre like social media, I
Yeah.
think.
Right, it
Okay.
is. It predates social media, and I always thought, as I could take you to how malls are not doing so well these days. One of our rundown malls that they barely take care of anymore. But you could go and you would see like where the landscaper dumped mulch, dump mulch, dump mulch, and sometimes they don't even really smooth it out, so you could see which side they dumped from. So a lot of times I think that's how those volcano mulching got started, just trying to do stuff fast and not do it well.
I do
Yeah.
think though, and this might be like um a little I don't know, like maybe the tides are turning, is that I have started to hear the term volcano mulching in like the everyday lexicon of non-plant people. Like they're able to identify it. And that might be a social media thing. Like there might be
That could
some
be.
popular TikTok person who's like talking about it, but I feel like that's maybe how, and then they're going to start complaining to their landscaping companies, and it's going to be really embarrassing for landscaping companies to be doing this. But maybe the tide is turning on volcano mulching a little bit. But
That would
we still see it a lot in the Philly area. So
that would be fantastic because like when I saw that pile of volcano mulch around that dead tree, I was like, oh, I've failed.
Yeah,
I've tried so
exactly. Yeah.
hard.
It's defeating.
well, maybe they were creating vole habitat. They were like, this is good for the
That's good.
mammals.
That's right. For the birds of prey. I mean, they got these game
Yeah.
cameras up all over, Pittsburgh area for eagles and hawks and stuff. So.
Oh,
Sandy, I had another question for you. So again, with you've been with Penn State for quite some time, and part of this answer won't play to too much of the audience potentially, but what would your advice be to like a young extension educator to have like a fulfilling and rewarding career? And you could even extrapolate that out to like somebody who maybe is younger who's listening who wants to pursue like horticulture or one of the other biological sciences. What do you think are some of the keys to having a successful time?
well, certainly, having a good educational background. Again, I'm so thankful for the educational opportunities I've had. I mean, not formal, but God
Mhm.
knows I've learned a lot. So certainly taking advantage of those educational opportunities, and networking with your colleagues. I work with the best people in the world, and I've learned so much from them and have been so supported by them. I think, certainly reaching out and you know, leaning on your colleagues.
Yeah, definitely. It's I've worked three places in my professional career, and I've been very lucky or blessed at all three to have worked with fantastic people who were not only like fun to be around, but just very educational and helpful
Yep.
to me.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
wonder
I
if
mean,
like add on to that question too, because like
you're
I
new.
started my career at a time when things are shifting from what seemed like the old extension model, where it's like there's a county agent, they're kind of a generalist. They drive around, they talk to people in person, they have an office culture where, they are interacting with other, you know, used to be agents, now educators. And it kind of feels like we're moving towards obviously a more digital space. Like we're all on Zoom right now in different parts of the state. But like that, it has fundamentally changed, I think, how extension works. We don't have really an office culture
Yeah.
where, with my office, so we don't necessarily interact with other types of educators as much within extension. And uh, you know, we don't see each other face to face very much. A lot more consultation happens maybe like through email and Zoom. And so like you obviously most of your career was before that shift, but I guess do you have any
I'm
any
not,
advice for someone who is like now firmly planted in the digital space? Like maybe there are things from that pre-digital extension that are worth hanging on to that we're kind of
oh yeah.
you know leaving behind in favor of this like faster paced, more reaching more people through Zoom. But like, are we losing something that we should really be hanging on to?
Well, I think we've left some of our clientele behind by going so strongly digital. And yeah, and I see that, Tom, about us going back to the county agents, who are going to be more generalists and they expect us to be more specialists. But I also I think the culture really changed over COVID, when we were all working from home and it really changed. And I have to say that even after we moved down to the Energy Innovation Center, we were very much a family, my extension family. And I miss that part of
Yeah.
Yeah, it's definitely
it. And I don't think that's coming back.
it's not the same
No,
as it
I
used
don't
to
think
be.
that's coming back. I wish it would.
Yeah.
Because that was, I mean, I learned from our 4-H agents, our family living agents. It wasn't just horticulture stuff. I learned extension stuff from people in other program areas. And we really, like, we celebrated each other's
Yeah.
birthdays. We always had Christmas parties, and it just seemed like we sort of stopped doing that, especially when we moved to the business operations manager, clients relations manager thing. And I've heard rumors, I don't know if this is true, that we may be going back to district directors. And maybe that needs to be edited out of this conversation. I don't know. But I think moving to that model has made us less accountable on the local level.
Mm.
I mean, not that I think, I think we all do our work and, take care of our clientele, but maybe that's not true for everybody. I don't know. But I think losing that office culture has made it, we have young people come and go pretty fast. Thank you for sticking around, Margaret.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, I'm here. I think, we have a lot of opportunities to connect with each other online that maybe weren't there before. And I've been really
True.
grateful for that. I think like I feel pretty close to the other people on our team.
Mhm.
I do think that we've maybe lost a lot of opportunities for new educators to just experience more or to see other more experienced educators in action, and whether
Okay.
that's another horticulture educator or a 4-H or family and consumer sciences or whatever it is, there are fewer opportunities to sit and watch someone do
Mhm.
thing, interact with a client, or do a site visit, collect samples, go mail the samples, whatever it is. So there's
Yep.
been a lot more of learning, how to do that stuff on my own, which, yeah, I mean, I think it's an incredibly helpful thing to just like sit with someone in their truck all day and, just see how they spend their day and how
Right.
they teach and how they, um, gather information and communicate it to somebody in a way that is valuable to them. So yeah, hopefully there would be more of that in the future.
Yes, I hope
Yeah.
so.
Well, as Sandy had mentioned, we are looking at hiring more county agents instead of educators.
Right.
And so these county agents will be based in one county and cover one county, maybe two, but that's it.
Yeah, and
Not
they're
like
going to be more generalists, so they'll be able to deal with.
exactly. Not
Yeah.
like us who, are based in one county and we may travel several of the surrounding counties. So I do think, maybe we could go back to somewhat of that original model, how extension was built. But I think the other thing is, I mean, COVID's, yes, partially responsible, but I think the other thing going on is just budget.
Right. Oh, yeah,
I
absolutely.
think that's
Absolutely.
dictating what extension is going to look like in the future too. So, well, I'm going to just switch gears a little bit. So Sandy, your career has been around the managed landscape, right?
Correct.
The green industry, nurseries, installs, maintenance, and so forth. But you also have an interest, not that it's necessarily a career, but you also have an interest in the unmanaged or the natural
Absolutely.
world. So, and you've always talked about that, and I just thought it'd be kind of neat to hear your kind of some of your final thoughts on that.
Well, I definitely plan to spend a lot more time in unmanaged landscapes now that I'm retiring. Um,
And you
and
have a favorite.
a
And you
favorite,
have a
Dolly
favorite.
Sods. Dolly Sods.
Yeah.
It's a wilderness area in West Virginia. Um, I forget how many acres, but it's a lot. And there's everything there. Like when you start going up into Dolly Sods, you could be in the Laurel Highlands. It's that kind of a landscape, a very densely wooded, lots of mountain laurel, bleeding heart all over the place, stuff like that. And as you go up, it becomes a really kind of a desolate landscape. It's a different kind of beauty. So the history of Dolly Sods is it was settled by immigrants, and they grazed sheep up there.
Hmm.
And the current spelling is Dolly sods. But there was a Dolly, a German family named Dolly, Dahle, that raised sheep there. And with the development of the Shay locomotive, which could climb those steep hills, like the regular locomotives could have never got up there. Well, they timbered the place out like completely. Apparently, there were red spruce trees that probably the group of us couldn't get our arms around. They were giant, and they were all logged out. And when those trees were gone, there was nothing used. And Dolly Sods gets like twice the rainfall that either side of Dolly Sods gets. And there were no trees to use the water. So there's all these bogs and stuff that have developed because there was nothing to use the water. And then one of those Shay locomotives caught the place on fire. And the fire burned so intensely that it burned away all the topsoil. So there's just giant rocks and boulders everywhere you look. And the plant life that has colonized the place, there's a lot of like the bog plants, we've got sundews, not so much pitcher plants, but sundews and a lot of cool mosses and stuff. Things that grow along the margin, like it's not viburnum nudum, but it's its close relative. I can hardly tell the difference between the two of them. Just different hollies and all kinds of things, and how they exploit the little cracks in the rocks and stuff is fascinating. You get these. There's a white flowered heuchera that grows up there, and breeders have collected seed from up there and used that to hybridize some different, very popular, very lovely cultivars of heuchera. So they do have an application in that managed landscape for sure. But it's a fascinating place to go botanizing.
Is that a state park or just a nature
It's part of the
preserve?
Monongahela National Forest.
Oh, okay.
But it's truly I would encourage anybody to visit. And like the first time I went there, it was with the Botanical Society of Western Pennsylvania, and it happened to be a really foggy, cloudy, rainy period. So you couldn't see anything.
Yeah.
Okay, so the next time my friend and I went back, we were just blown away because you can see clear down to Virginia from some of these high places, and maybe even North Carolina from some of the higher places. And, we could see what was right in front of us. Like we were doing a little botanizing just off the road and stuff. When we turned around, we couldn't see our car. So that's how dense the fog was up there. And so it was eye-opening to go up there and see the vistas that we had totally missed the first time we were there. That was kind of crazy. But there's a lot of nice hiking, a lot of nice trails. And now that I'm older, I can't do some of the ones that I would like to do, but we've done some really great loops. And there's this one place we got to, we had to cross Red Creek, and there's a beaver dam there. That was an amazing beaver dam. And unfortunately, the beaver dam floods the trails. We were lucky to keep our shoes on. But it was a really wonderful hike. It was a great hike.
I've got a couple of my family members that are in West Virginia right now.
Okay.
And the comment we were kind of communicating back and forth is that the importance of mental health and how a walk in the woods just those wonders for your mental health. So, you're describing what you're seeing, and I like to hike too. And I can just experience, just the way you're visually describing, I can just see me just being at peace, just walking around, looking at all those plants and the niches and the habitats. And it's just the wonders it does to your mental health.
And some of the creatures, birds. I never saw no, I take it back. I probably, when I was a kid, saw ruffed grouse, but there's tons of ruffed grouse like wandering around Dolly Sods. I think it's Pennsylvania state bird, and
It is, yeah.
I can't tell you the last time I saw a ruffed grouse here. Oh, and what's the one? Oh my God. I think of them as like the basset hounds of the bird family. They're ground dwellers. Oh,
Turkey?
Huh? No, not
Turkeys?
a turkey. No, they're little birds. They're little birds, and they have
Okay.
kind of sad faces and long bills.
Oh, woodcocks.
Woodcock. Yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
yeah. Okay.
They're amazing looking.
They're
And
beautiful.
they're
Okay.
beautiful, and they would come right into our campsite.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, yeah, they just walk right up to us like they didn't seem that scared of us. And
Wow.
there's coyotes, there's fox, there's all kinds of bear. Now I've never seen a bear up there, but a lot of bear hunters are up there. And we've just
They're
always
there.
been really respectful, like, we want to hike here. Are you guys going to be taking your dogs there? And they're like, no, you can hike there. Or, yeah, we're going there, so we'll go hike somewhere else. Um, the only time I saw a bear was down at Blackwater Falls, and it was way far away from me walking across the street. But they're around, and we're very careful with our food and stuff. We won't even take toothpaste into our tent. No
Yeah, I
point in
remember
going.
when we did our horticulture team trip to North Carolina, and I think one of the last days, we did a hike. I don't remember anything about the hike. But we were in the Blue Ridge Mountains, and we kind of like huffed it up there. I think a lot of us had COVID, and we didn't know.
Remember that? Yeah.
Like, we just like, have to get up into the top because it's beautiful, but we're like tired and sick probably. And like a group of us got up there, and it's like this incredible view. And then we're kind of like, where's the other group? Like, it's like, where's Sandy and everybody else? And someone was like, oh, like they're botanizing. And it
Yeah,
was
yeah. Oh,
Pretty
yeah. We
cool.
were having a great time because
a
there were a
much,
lot of plants there that I knew from Dolly Sods.
yeah, it's
Yeah.
like a much slower, deliberate pace, and also just like speaks to your like one of your areas of expertise in plant identification, which I think is incredible because we like all know a lot of the most common plants in the industry, but Sandy has like, and from my perspective, like an encyclopedic knowledge of plants and the families and what they are and their characteristics. And that's been such an amazing thing to, yeah, to just witness. I aspire to that.
Well, it's a lot of fun. I enjoy my plants, and I look forward to spending a lot more time out with my botanical society friends. I haven't been
Yeah.
able to spend as much time with them because most of them are retired, so they're doing their hikes during the week and stuff when I've been at work. So I'm looking forward to spending more time with the Botanical Society of Western PA.
Yeah. Well, I kind of wonder, I know we're kind of nearing the end of our time. We're coming up on an hour, I think, and there's so much more we could talk to you about. And I know we usually end with like what you're gonna do when you're not working, and we could end there, but I just like, is there anything, any message you want to leave us with? Reflecting on your
Wow.
career or anything? I know that's a lot. It's a big question.
Well, I want to say hang in there and keep doing the awesome work you do. I know our clientele really appreciate what we do. I did a talk for a Site One. It was one of their field day kind of things, and the people who took my class came up and said how much they enjoyed it because I wasn't pushing a product. I was just imparting knowledge. So that's one thing. So keep doing the great work you do, and try to have fun with it much as you can.
Mhm. That's great. Yeah.
And I think in retirement, I have some volunteer things that I'm probably going to do. There's a group called Tree Pittsburgh here that's an outgrowth of the Pittsburgh Shade Tree Commission, and they start all their trees from seed that have been locally collected.
Whoa.
And I think I'm going to spend some of my retirement planting trees from seed at Tree Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
All
Cool.
right.
I think that's going to be a lot of fun. And they're great people. I've known them for years at this point, and they're a lot of fun. And I think I'm going to have fun hanging out with them.
Wow. Well, Sandy, enjoy your retirement. I know that we'll see you
Yes,
because
you will. I might come
but
to Flower Trial Field Day.
oh,
Oh,
great.
awesome.
It's
That'd be
Yeah.
fun.
great.
Yeah.
It's on my calendar anyhow.
Well, I'm so
No.
glad that we got this chance to chat with you. And yeah, just like soak it all in, enjoy the rest, and doing all the amazing stuff that you're about to do in the next chapter. We're gonna miss you so much.
Yes, you're
And
going
I'm
to
going to
be
miss
missed.
you too. I mean, I'm sure we'll see each other some, because there are events I will come to. You can't get rid of me that easily.
Thanks for being a great coworker, Sandy.
Yes.
Thank you, Tom.
All right, take
And
care,
Tim and
everybody.
Margaret.
Bye, everybody.
We'll see you soon.